We have Brett's C6Z in for a little tuning before he switches over to ethanol. This car just had a whole bunch of work done to it. It has a larger fuel pump in the tank. It's getting ready to go on the corn. So we are troubleshooting an issue with it where it doesn't always want to start when you crank it over. And I'm going to have Kelsey crank it over now and give you kind of an example of what it sounds like when this problem happens. We noticed when we were riding to the ECU and turning it on, when it would prime the pump, it took a significant amount of time for the pitch of the fuel pump to change. And since this was just changed in the car, usually what you mess with last is what's going to cause the problem. So what I'm going to have Kelsey do now is I'm going to have Kelsey turn the car to the on position but not crank it over, and we're going to watch what fuel pressure does at the fuel rail. Slowly building and falling back off. What this is telling us is the check valve for that fuel pump is not holding enough pressure to keep the rail at 60 psi. And when the car is cranking over, it's expecting a consistent pressurized rail, and it doesn't have that. So we have a long crank, long crank, long crank until we actually get enough fuel pressure in the rail to deliver us enough fuel to get the car to start at an appropriate air-fuel ratio. Unlike the newer Camaros, the Corvette doesn't have a fuel pressure sensor. So if fuel pressure drops or varies, it doesn't have any way to adjust the injector pulse width to get the correct air-fuel ratio. This isn't really a calibration problem, and therefore it should not really be fixed with the calibration. Anything that I change in the tune is going to actually be giving the ECU bad data that's going to cause the car not to drive consistently. This is a mechanical issue that needs to be resolved at the tank, either by maybe a check valve or maybe a different pump. We don't know if this one's defective or maybe if the line blew off or cracked during installation. We won't really know until we get a little bit more fuel demand. Let me show you what fuel pressure looks like at the rail while cranking. That may give you a better bit of insight into exactly what's happening at the rail and what the ECU has to account for.